Hello friends, Pauline back here with another episode of Civic Education 101. And yes, I have brand new hair. And quick shout out to my hairstylist, Alana. Her Instagram handle is Follicle Fatale, and she's actually the reason why I voted for the first time a few years ago, so she's very important to me. I just wanted to give her a quick shout out for not only giving me beautiful hair as always, but for inspiring me to vote for the first time a few years back. So I don't know why I did that. That's not me. Last week I put up a poll asking what you all wanted me to dive into next, and you voted for the Electoral College. So that's what today's episode is going to be about. As always, before we start, please make sure you're registered to vote. If you're in California, the deadline is actually tomorrow. Ooh, not a cute freeze frame. Anyways, the California voter registration has actually passed. But don't worry, if you missed mail-in online voter registration, you can still register in person. In California, we have something called same-day voter registration, and eligible citizens can complete this process at their county elections office, polling place, or vote center. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. The Electoral College. What is it? Why is it? How is it? Who is it? Basically, the Electoral College is something that most of us don't actually understand how it works, yet it is incredibly important to how the president is actually elected. So in November, we go and vote for the president, but technically we aren't voting for them directly. We actually go to vote to tell a group of electors how they should vote come December. So what that means is whoever wins the popular vote by election day is technically the projected winner, but the actual winner is announced in December by the Electoral College vote. Why do we have the Electoral College? Well, in order to understand that, we actually have to go way back to the founding fathers and our framers of the Constitution. Way back in the day, there were these things called the Federalist Papers. And the Federalist Papers are a series of newspaper articles supporting the Constitution. And these essays and articles are a way for us to understand what the original intentions were of the framers of the Constitution. And in Federalist number 68, Alexander Hamilton wrote about the benefits of the Electoral College and a little bit of what he believed to be the necessity. The Electoral College is basically a compromise between us voting in the president by popular vote versus by Congress's vote. And that's how it found its way into our Constitution in Article 2, Section 1. Okay, so I'm sure you've heard these two very important numbers, 538 and 270. 538 is how many electoral votes there are, and 270 is what it takes to win the majority. The number of electoral votes that each state gets is based on the amount of people in Congress per state. So, for example, California, we have 2 senators, just like every state. And we have 53 people in the House of Representatives. So therefore, we have 55 electoral votes. After you tally up the rest of the states, you get 535 electoral votes, but then Washington, D.C. gets 3, so then you get 538. The system that most of the states use is a winner-takes-all system. That means that whoever wins the popular vote in that state gets all the electoral votes. There are 2 states that actually use a proportional system, and that would be Maine and Nebraska. And these winner-take-all systems, proportional systems, these aren't actually found in the Constitution. And if you were to read Federalist Paper number 68, you could say that this isn't exactly how the framers intended the Electoral College to be like. And then you have faithless electors, and these are electors who vote against the popular vote in their state. But so far in history, there hasn't been a presidential outcome that has been affected by faithless electors. Fast forward to today. Why is this seen as problematic? Well, you can win the popular vote, but lose in the Electoral College. And of course, now that we know that the Electoral College is actually who determines the presidency, it can be a little unsettling to know that the people have spoken, but the Electoral College is actually the one who makes that ultimate decision. And there's actually been 5 instances of this in our history where the president won not by the popular vote of the people, but by the majority vote in the Electoral College. So a lot of people wonder, could we ever get rid of the Electoral College? And if we could, how likely is it to happen? We could technically get rid of the Electoral College, but that would require an amendment to the Constitution, which is not easy. In order to amend the Constitution, we would need 2/3 majority vote in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, and we would then need 3/4 of the states to ratify it. Or we can also hold a constitutional convention, which is basically not going to happen. So getting the 2/3 majority vote in the House of Representatives and Senate is one thing, but getting the 3/4 majority of the states to get on board is the part that people see as unlikely. And that's because the Electoral College allows for these smaller states to have a big impact in the presidential race outcome. And if you have this level of impact, why would you be willing to give it up? And so let's talk about that for a little bit. I really wanted to understand this concept in numbers. So what I did is I took the 2010 census information, took the population by state, and I sorted that by least populated to most populated. And this is what I found. The 16 least populous states had a little over 18 million people altogether. And altogether, they have a total of 59 electoral votes. So 16 states, little over 18 million people, 59 total electoral votes. Then you look at California. California alone has a little over 37 million people, but only 55 electoral votes. So one state, a little over 37 million people, 55 electoral votes. Okay, so I'm going to end it there. Hopefully that was some helpful information, and I'm really curious to hear from you. What do you think about the Electoral College? Are you for it? Are you against it? Why or why not? Leave me a comment, send me a DM. I'm super interested to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. Please share with anyone who you think this may help, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!